In this video, we're diving into the real story behind Nicole Kidman's heartbreaks, the love, the silence, and the strength she found through it all. From Tom Cruise to Keith Urban, this is how Nicole lost love, faced silence, and learned to stand tall again. Tom Cruise has finally broken his silence on Nicole Kidman's divorce from Keith Urban. Except he hasn't said a single word. And somehow that silence says everything. It's louder, colder, and far more revealing than any statement could ever be. While Nicole ends her 19-year marriage with Keith, citing the same irreconcilable differences that ended her marriage to Tom 24 years ago, her ex-husband remains as silent as ever. But that silence isn't maturity or privacy. It's a pattern. It's control. It's Tom's favorite language. The kind that lets him erase people without ever having to acknowledge them. And now that silence feels even heavier. Because out of nowhere, a clip from 2001 has gone viral again. The one where Nicole appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman just months after Tom filed for divorce. Letterman teased her about the breakup, and Nicole laughed nervously before saying the 5 words that would follow her for decades. "Well, I can wear heels now." The audience laughed. Letterman smiled. Nicole smiled too. But behind that laugh was a story no one understood back then. That wasn't a joke about shoes. It was about freedom, about finally being able to stand tall again, literally and emotionally. Nicole Kidman is 5 feet 11 inches. Tom Cruise is 5 feet 7 inches. For 10 years, she had quietly made herself smaller, not just in height, but in spirit. That one moment on television wasn't sass. It was truth disguised as humor. And today, it feels eerily relevant again. Because now, in 2025, Nicole is once again standing at the end of a marriage. And once again, she's surrounded by silence. Both divorces, from Tom Cruise in 2001 and Keith Urban in 2025, ended with the same phrase, irreconcilable differences. Both ended because of emotional distance. Both ended with Nicole still fighting to hold on while the man beside her had already walked away in his heart. When Tom filed for divorce, Nicole was completely blindsided. She told Vanity Fair later, "I was willing to give up everything. I loved him, and I would have walked to the end of the earth." Those words are devastating because they reveal how much she gave, how much of herself she lost trying to hold on to a man who had already let go. Even years later, she admitted she was still in love with him. 5 years after their divorce, she said softly in an interview, "He was lovely to me, and I loved him. I still love him." And through all of that, Tom never said a single public word about her. From 2001 until now, 24 years, Tom Cruise has maintained complete silence about Nicole Kidman. No comments, no acknowledgement, not even a passing mention. The only time he referred to her name publicly was in 2025, during an interview about Eyes Wide Shut. All he said was, "I suggested Nicole play the role because obviously she's a great actress." 3 words, a great actress. That's all she got after a decade of marriage. And now as Nicole faces another ending, that same silence feels painfully familiar because it's not just silence, it's erasure. When Tom Cruise is done with someone, it's as if they vanish. A decade of marriage, gone. 2 adopted children, never mentioned. Entire chapters of life, deleted. It's like he rewrites his story every few years. And Nicole's name never makes the new draft. And disturbingly, Keith Urban seems to be following the same script. In August 2025, 2 months before anyone knew about the divorce, Keith quietly signed a parenting plan, giving Nicole primary custody of their daughters for most of the year. He didn't fight it. He didn't even negotiate. He prepaid his child support in one lump sum. No monthly reminders, no contact, no reason to speak again. For 2 months before the divorce became public, Keith was silent. No social media mentions of Nicole, no signs that anything was wrong. He performed, smiled, and kept the illusion alive while their marriage was already gone behind the scenes. By the time Nicole filed in September, the emotional divorce had already taken place, just like it had in 2001. Both times, she was left standing in the quiet aftermath, holding love that wasn't being returned. That old Letterman joke, "I can wear heels now," suddenly means something very different in this new light. It wasn't a victory lap. It was a woman saying, I can finally take up space again. It was a quiet way of saying she'd spent years shrinking herself, not just for a man's ego, but to survive a life that demanded she be smaller. Years later, Nicole admitted that being married to a powerful man protected her from Hollywood's darker side, from harassment, from isolation, from being ignored. But that protection came at a price. She said, "I was willing to give up everything." She was 23 when she married Tom, young, trusting, and completely in love. She disappeared into his world, and when he was done, he erased her from it. 2 decades later, Keith's silence feels different, softer but still painful. Tom's silence came from control. Keith's came from distance. One was about power, the other about absence. Both left Nicole standing in the same place, alone, dignified, and quiet. People have tried to explain Tom's lifelong silence about Nicole. Some say it's because of Scientology, that she's been labeled a suppressive person and therefore must be ignored completely. Others say their divorce settlement legally forbids him from speaking about her. But maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe Tom just rewrote his life without her in it. And that's what makes this story so haunting. It's not about fame or celebrity gossip. It's about silence as control, about how some people erase others, not with anger or words, but with absence. And somehow Nicole keeps ending up loving men who do that. She gives everything. They give nothing back. She fights to hold on. They quietly detach. And when they leave, they don't shout. They don't argue. They simply vanish. Tom's silence isn't peace. It's punishment. Keith's isn't kindness. It's withdrawal. Both are forms of rejection that don't need to be spoken aloud. But this time, something's changed. Nicole isn't the same woman she was in 2001. Back then, she was heartbroken, lost, still hoping Tom might come back. Now she's different. She's wiser, steadier, and she's learned that silence can be its own confession. You don't always need to ask someone why they left. Their absence is the answer. Maybe that's why people are connecting so deeply to Nicole's story right now. It's not just celebrity drama, it's something painfully human. It's about what happens when you love harder than you're loved back. When you keep showing up, trying to fix things while the other person quietly drifts away. Nicole's story feels familiar to millions. The slow fading of a love that once felt unbreakable. We've watched her evolve, from that nervous, hopeful 23-year-old bride to a woman who's rebuilt herself twice. The first time, she was caught off guard. The second time, she's choosing peace over pain. Her first marriage ended in confusion and public heartbreak. Her second in quiet strength. She isn't angry. She isn't bitter. She doesn't lash out. She just walks forward, graceful, poised, maybe a little bruised, but never broken. And that's why people love her. She doesn't chase closure from men who've already closed the door. Tom's silence made her small. Keith's silence made her strong. Both heartbreaks shaped her. One broke her, the other rebuilt her. Maybe that's why she's handling this divorce so quietly. Not because she's weak, but because she's learned that true power doesn't need noise. She's learned that the loudest thing a woman can do sometimes is simply stay silent, keep her dignity, and move on. People online are calling this Nicole's full circle. The woman who once joked, "I can wear heels now," doesn't need to explain herself anymore. She stands tall, not because someone finally lets her, but because she always could. And that's what makes Nicole Kidman's story so powerful. It's not about being left twice, it's about standing tall twice. Even when love ends, even when silence surrounds you, even when the people who once promised forever act like you never existed, you can still rise. Nicole Kidman isn't defined by the men who left her. She's defined by the way she never stopped standing tall, even when the world tried to make her small. Tom's silence will probably never break. But it doesn't matter anymore, because Nicole Kidman has already spoken. Not through words, but through strength. And sometimes that's the loudest sound of all. In the end, Nicole Kidman's story reminds us that even when love fades, strength remains. She didn't just survive, she rose. Thanks for watching, and if her journey moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this.